Hey guys, welcome to Purely Living, a Christian lifestyle channel. My name is Ursula, and on this channel, we explore some of my favorite parts of life: faith, food, TV, and travel. Thank you so much for coming along with me on my journey. In this video, we are going to be making a veggie chili. It's important to note that this recipe is completely Daniel fast friendly. So if you are planning on doing a Daniel fast, if you're on one right now, or you know that the Lord regularly calls you to do fast, it will be a good idea to kind of put this to the side. You can save it on your YouTube playlist, pin it on your Pinterest, or however you like to keep track of things, and have it there for when it's time for you to go on a fast. Because I know when I first started fasting regularly, which was a few years ago now, probably about 10 or 11 years ago, I didn't have a whole lot of recipes. And I found myself making vegetable soup, salads, smoothies, like all the time when I would fast. And I got tired of it. And so, probably about 2 years in, I ended up scouring the internet, looking for new recipes and options for veggie based meals. And this one is one that has stuck with me. It is fast and it's easy and it tastes good. And I love regular chili, and it gives me that feeling when I'm fasting, even though it doesn't have the meat. So it does not have the meat, but because of the seasonings and the flavor, it's still really good. It's filling. And, when we're fasting, we're not really focused on getting like super full anyway. We're just, eating and then moving on, with our day or with our evening to spend time with the Lord, pray, and just spend time with our Father, because that's what fasting is all about, right? So let's go ahead and get started, guys. Let's grab your ingredients. So I have listed out everything that you're going to need to make this chili, and I've separated the list into sections. On one side, we have our vegetables, and the other side, we have the seasonings and other items that we're going to need to complete this veggie chili. So, firstly, we need 3 yellow squash, medium size, 3 zucchini squash, medium size, a 15-ounce can of diced tomatoes, a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce, 1 head of broccoli. It doesn't have to be a big head of broccoli. It can be like a small to medium sized head of broccoli. Next, you need a 15-ounce can of chickpeas or other beans of your choice. We're going to talk more about that a little later. I do have some substitutions where if you want to mix it up or add to the recipe, we're going to talk about that in just a minute. And lastly, on the veggie side, you need a 1/4 cup of corn, and you can use either frozen or canned corn. It's your choice. So over to the seasonings, you need a tablespoon of olive oil, 1 cup of vegetable broth, 2 teaspoons of cumin, 3 teaspoons of chili powder, a half teaspoon of paprika, 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and your salt and pepper. You're just going to add that to taste. Now that we have our ingredients, go ahead and take a quick screen grab or a screenshot. If you're on your phone, you can, do a quick screenshot so that you can have the ingredients list on hand, and that'll help you, when you're prepping or in the grocery store. All right, so I have popped in a picture for you guys of some of the canned goods that I used, and also some substitution options. So here we have a can of corn. I used frozen corn, but as I just mentioned earlier, you can just use canned corn. I think I didn't want to open a can and, have to remember to use it later on in the week because I've opened the entire can. So I just used frozen corn because I had to go to the store to grab some things anyway. I grabbed some frozen corn. But if you already have whole corn in the pantry in a can, feel free to use that. Secondly, we have some diced tomatoes. That's a 15-ounce can of diced tomatoes, which I did use in this recipe. Next to it is a small can of tomato paste. Now, you don't have to use tomato paste. I believe I had this on hand because I didn't have a can of tomato sauce, but I ended up grabbing that since I was going to the store, and I used regular tomato sauce, which was in the same size can as the diced tomatoes. But this tomato paste, I put it in here because I wanted you to know, like, if you have tomato paste on hand and you don't have time to go to the store or what have you, you can use the tomato paste, and you just have to add some water to it in order to turn it into a more of a tomato sauce, because you know the tomato paste is so thick and concentrated. But you can use that as a substitution if you'd like. The fourth can is some dark red kidney beans, and right beside it is a can of Great Northern beans. And I put those in here because they are options, as most of us love to have, like kidney beans and just traditional chili beans in our chili. And I know I have used kidney beans in this recipe before. What we're going to make today, we're going to just follow the recipe and use the chickpeas. But just as an option, if you want to have it be like, a traditional chili, or have the kidney beans, maybe you don't like chickpeas, you can always use kidney beans instead. That's the great thing about cooking. You can play around and mix things up. So now that we have our ingredients all together, let's go ahead and start cooking, guys. The first thing you want to do is get your 3 zucchini and your 3 squash and chop them up into cubes. Over on the stove, get your soup pot and put the oil in it and let that heat over medium heat, maybe while you're chopping up your vegetables. You don't want it to be in the pan for too long without anything in it, but go ahead and let that oil start heating up. And once you have your oil nice and warm, go ahead and add the cubed zucchini and the cubed squash, and you're going to let that cook in the oil for about 10 minutes. Make sure to stir it up and let it, get saturated in the oil, and let that cook for about 10 minutes. And while you're letting that cook, chop up your broccoli and set it to the side. We're not going to use that just yet. We're going to wait until the last 10 minutes of the recipe to add that broccoli in, but go ahead and chop it up so that it can be ready. After the 10 minutes, you want to have your diced tomatoes, your tomato sauce, and your broth ready. And go ahead and add all 3 to the pot. So add your diced tomatoes, add your tomato sauce, and your broth, and stir it up. You're going to let that cook for 10 minutes. And as you can see, mine is bubbling. It's bubbling up a little bit. It's been, the 10 minutes, and it's ready for its finishing touches. So now we're going to go ahead and add our broccoli. We're going to add the can of chickpeas, the 4th cup of corn, and all of the spices. So your cumin, the cayenne pepper, the paprika, and the salt and pepper. Go ahead and add that in. Stir it all up. Cover it back up and let that cook for 10 more minutes. And just like that, guys, we are done. Your vegetable chili is complete, and you can go ahead and eat now. It was just that simple. Please pop down below and let me know if you are going to try out this recipe. And once you do, let me know if you are going to try any of the substitution ideas, or if you have other, additions that you're going to add to the recipe. With a recipe like this, there's so many different things that you can do. You can add black beans, you can add kidney beans, which we discussed, the Great Northern beans, which were in the photo that I showed a little earlier. There's so many things that you can do to change it up. So let me know. Let me know if you plan on trying this recipe. And I pray that you guys have an awesome day. And I will see you guys in the next video. God bless you and your families. Take care.